Welcome back, dear viewers, with Up to Date. Now, in the first part, you talked about agricultural technologies in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the research and everything going on in it. Yet, in the world, internationally, when it comes to networking, there's a lot of other kind of research going on, especially when it comes to the Internet of Everything, a new concept that Cisco have introduced. There are similar researches going on around, let's say, other companies within other fields. Now, let us talk about the Internet of Everything, and it's an absolute honor to having with us in the studio Mr. Abdullah Alswaha, who is the Director of Operations at Cisco Saudi. Honor, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Now, the Internet of Everything, I mean, the concept by itself. We kept talking about it for the past year, and now it's so, it evolved, literally. And now it's such a big thing in Cisco. So let us talk about it. The Internet of Everything, what is it? Define it to our viewers if you don't mind.
Well, we are at the beginning of a major transition to the mobile cloud era, where historically wave one of the internet focused on interconnecting what used to be traditionally the IT world. So smartphones, laptops, tablets. Now the Internet of Everything is going to help us connect the unconnected, because we predict that 99% of things out there in the world are not connected. Only 8.7 billion of the possible 1.5 trillion of things are connected in the world today. So talking about connecting people, processes, data, and things. I think, just to give you a little bit of an example, think about connecting cars to road sensors, to traffic lights, about managing traffic efficiency. Think about managing to connect hospitals to doctors, to save lives. Think about the first segment that you had. You had the opportunity to talk about how we could connect trees and agricultural aspects to be able to predict climate change and help researchers, such as the doctor before me.
True.
So a number of limitless possibilities within the Internet of Everything.
Yeah, of course. I mean, being a network company or a company that specializes in networks, one of the major things, you guys have predicted a lot of the problems and you created a lot of the solutions around the world, especially when it came to the IP conflict. After that, before that came the whole 2K. Before, a lot of weird stuff have been happening in the IT field, and you guys have been doing a lot of research and investment through the whole IT field. Now, let us talk about the concept of the Internet of Everything. It will carry a lot of problems, a lot of issues. Connectivity, address conflict between everything around the world, and is it worth it having that part connected or not? What can we do, and literally how to implement the connection and make it useful? So, are you guys researching all this excessively in the kingdom, or just international, just a major one big focused aspect?
So absolutely, we have done tremendous research with both. So for example, I'll give you with Ford. So we've done research with Ford when it comes to connecting cars. We've done research with Philips and how to connect light bulbs.
Huey, yeah.
Yeah. And we have done also research with GE on smart meters. So we have done a number of studies. And thanks to the evolution of the IPv6, I mean, we had, you know, with IPv4, we had a constraint on the number of IP addresses we can have in the world. And now, thanks to IPv6, it's limitless. You could have billions and billions of IP addresses per thing. And that's honestly what was the pivotal point that helped us make it possible. As a matter of fact, just to show you a little bit of the research that we have done, we have worked with one of the Dutch farmers in the Netherlands on connecting cows. So one of the pain points that he had, and this is in line with the agricultural theme of the show, one of the issues that he had is that he had a number of cows were for some reason being ineffective in the ability to produce, you know, milk and getting sick. So what we have done, he has slapped on them some wireless sensors. And today he can predict their movement behaviors, their eating behaviors. He can sense their vital signs, and he can able to produce more quality meat, more quality milk, and effectively run his business. Nice. There was a research that we have done with one of the universities in which we were able to interconnect an alarm clock to an Exchange server. Let me give you an example.
Please.
Say tomorrow you have a meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning. You gotta, you know, set your alarm for 6 o'clock because to beat traffic to make it up. Let's say your counterpart for the meeting actually goes into Outlook, changes the time and the location of the meeting in your Exchange. Now, due to the fact that the Internet of Everything connects everything, that Exchange will send an IP notification to your alarm clock, It will reset it to give you some more sleeping time. It will reset the setting on your Nespresso that is actually connected to the IP network. It will help you brew that coffee when you need it, as needed. And it will help you also reset your navigation system to reroute and to avoid traffic when it has to do with government employees or the school system. So the possibilities are limitless, honestly, with the Internet of Everything. And this is what makes it so exciting. And we have painted a vision that we would love to change the way people work, live, play, and learn. And honestly speaking, I see the Internet of Everything as a manifestation of this to the next level.
That's absolutely amazing, especially that first example when it comes to the cows and connecting them through Wi-Fi. I mean, I would easily suggest for them to be used as Wi-Fi range extenders as well. Really, think about the possibilities in that. And it's about the Internet of Everything and having everything connected. Isn't that a barrier in raising the awareness to get people into that concept?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're talking about the Internet is not only defined to, let's call it Internet 1.0 today.
Yes.
It really can revolutionize the way people live, work, play, and learn. It can revolutionize businesses and so forth. There was a study that was done by the World Economic Forum that suggests to you every 10% increase in broadband penetration can really increase by 2.5% GDP. So genuinely, if you think about it today, investing in ICT solution can genuinely produce better quality of life for people. Even GDP confirms it by the World Economic Forum. The UN in 2011 announced the Internet as a human right. So it's no longer a commodity. Today it's a human right for everybody to leverage.
And of course, I mean, with that comes a new type of barrier, especially in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with mobile places and, I mean, distant places around the kingdom, them not having internet. Do you guys have the solution?
There are a number of solutions. So predominantly partnering with the service providers when it comes to this aspect.
There's always an answer this way. Please.
Absolutely, absolutely. I believe bringing talent and technology to rural areas will help us definitely boom the economy. Because if you look at Saudi Arabia, 81% to 83% is predominantly urbanized between 3 major cities. And this is putting a huge burden from a public and a private perspective.
True.
So definitely having the reach to pass the technology, to be able to provide telemedicine, teleeducation to the rural areas definitely will help us transform the country.
MashaAllah. And of course, I mean, let us talk now about the talent and how much investment you guys are putting into talent and some of the latest announcements that you guys had. Can you just share that with our viewers?
No, absolutely. So the latest announcement has to do with the Talent Acceleration Hub. So we have done a study with IDC and some of the reputable local universities here, in which we have found that there were predominantly 2 skill gaps. The first skill gap had to do with the notion that the supply from the universities and the demand from the workplace, and had to do predominantly with the fact that we did not have sufficient IT networking professionals. So the initial study that was back in 2009 suggested that we have around 33,000 gap when it comes to the skill gap. So we have done a number of initiatives to address wave 1, and I will talk to you about phase 2 shortly. So the first thing that we have done, we have launched more than 88 academies in which since 2004 more than 40,000 IT professionals have graduated. So we have done our duty when it comes to closing up that particular gap. We've also partnered with Prince Sultan University to make sure that we launch with them the Netversity program, the Network University program back in 2007. And we're very proud today that today it is a replicable model for other our peers in the industry to follow. Last but not least, when it comes to phase 1, which is our 12 months Amsterdam program, in which we sent the cream of the crop to make sure that we develop the next generation engineers. Specifically on this announcement, we have found, and this is not about Cisco Saudi, because if you go to Cisco Saudi, and I do invite you to our office, we're very proud that 80% of the mid-management and the senior leadership positions have been filled by Saudis that organically have grown within the organization. And I've been with the company for 8 years, and I'm very proud of my story and my peers, which I believe also we had a number of our colleagues on the show. Sure. So we're very proud that we have taken the necessary steps. But how can we build that potential pipeline to feed those mid-management and senior leadership positions? Because what we have found that within the industry and some of our peers within the industry, you would find the Saudis, when you're looking at the pyramid, at the bottom of the pyramid. Sure. So we've launched the Talent Acceleration Hub to make sure that we take mid-experienced, both male and female, Saudi professionals, and make sure we put them through a rigorous program of mentorship, coaching, leadership, to make sure that we build that pipeline for Cisco Saudi and for the industry as well.
That's absolutely brilliant. And I'm proud to say that you guys, you're like the only Western company who had as many Saudis as you had this show, all from senior management and high management. And this is an absolute honor to thank you guys. I mean, I thank, of course, Cisco on behalf of everybody here in Saudi Arabia, because I mean, you guys have been doing a great job in, let's say, giving back a bit to Saudi Arabia from what Cisco and the whole cooperation happening. And it's absolutely honor, and yes, thank you again.
Anything that gives us the pleasure of transferring knowledge and technology is at the essence of why we're here.
And one hand cannot clap alone, as we say in Arabic, yet comes the importance of small and medium businesses within the field of, let's say, investing within those major talents that exist in the kingdom. So what kind of responsibility do you say is put on their shoulder?
So if you look at the small to medium business, and if you compare it to the likes of the Western European countries and the Northern American countries, you would find predominantly that the SMB business represents anywhere between 50 to 60% of the private GDP. They're the largest employers of private jobs. They are the largest segment of taxpayers. I mean, if you look at the U.S., they call them at the heart of the U.S. economy. Yeah. Similarly, in Saudi, we would love to partner with the right entities to replicate those successful stories. Because if you look at any economy, it's a cluster base of economy. Sure. If the government spends $1, it goes to a prime contractor, and then it subs through a long tail of industries. If they're local, if they're Saudi, then that $1 is split off and it stays within the country. If they're non-local, unfortunately, the money would outflow. So we believe that with technologies such as cloud, today we can bring state-of-the-art technology to these SMBs, the power of compute, network and storage, state-of-the-art and latest technologies to these notions, similar to what other adjacent industries have done. If you look at it, and this goes back from a great book called The Big Switch by Nicholas Carr, that talks about how in the 100 years ago, I mean, a lot of companies would like to proclaim that they have invented the cloud. But in essence, it's just an operational model that did exist in the past, in which in the past, if you were a larger enterprise, and you could afford from a capital expenditure and an OPEX expenditure to get your power generation, transmission, and distribution system, and you can afford to maintain it and operate it, then you had that leverage. And if you were an SMB, well, tough luck. Then the whole nation of the power grid came into place, in which right now power is available on demand as a service in an elastic or agile fashion. And this is in essence what the cloud have done. And we're very proud that although it's an operational model, that we're very proud of innovating some of the stepping stones that made it a reality in partnership with a lot of our ecosystem partners. And I believe adopting a cloud-based offering in which we could help these SMBs better manage their financial management systems, their HR, their talent, their value chain is going to help them succeed. And it's unfortunate today that if you look at the statistics, only 3 out of 10 SMPs survive within a span of 5 years, wow. In which we believe genuinely technology can really drive productivity. If you look at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, they tell you that the major contributor to national productivity, 52% is associated with technological changes. So we genuinely believe that investment in technology not only can get you an economic return as a whole, but can help the SMB sector prosper and grow.
MashaAllah. I mean, it's absolutely amazing to see, let's say, I mean, talk about such investment within talent and the importance, highlighting the importance about the talent. Yeah, to protect everything to do with those talents, we need to protect the security of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, especially if you talk about the IT kind of security. And let's be a bit realistic. I mean, we don't have the best of security here in the Kingdom. Sadly, within the infrastructure of IT, within the infrastructure of small businesses, medium businesses, and even major businesses in the Kingdom, it's a bit sad to find that such major investments in the technology, yet not enough investment in the security of such technologies. So let us talk let's talk a bit about the technology in Saudi Arabia and the security that Cisco's got and the changes that you guys have made in the security field.
So I believe with the new trends of IT consumerization, bringing your own device, the cloud, it introduces a number of challenges for any CIO. So I can see that you have a consumer device next to you here, in which you would see that a number of CIOs, they would be puzzled whether they allow this particular consumer device into the network. And if they allow it, do they have the mechanism to manage it both on network and off network via VPN? Do they trust corporate sensitive data to reside on the consumer device? How do they govern it? How do they enforce it? And at Cisco, we have a number of solutions. The first one is the Identity Services Engine, in which today we can authenticate who you are, what device you're coming from, where you're coming from on the network, and when. So for example, if somebody right now trying to access the corporate network from my office, I'm not at the office, I'm currently connected via VPN via my mobile device, my consumer device, the network will not allow him to access. If somebody trying to compromise my username and password, so not only we authenticate the user, we authenticate the machine. So for example, normally CIOs would allow physical security cameras or printers to be connected to the network. So if I see you through your consumer device trying to penetrate port 2000, UDP 2000, you're pretending to be an IP phone, but you're not. You could be just trying to browse the net and exploiting a vulnerability within the system. So today we have the granularity to be able to detect who you are, what machine you're coming from, what are you authorized, if you're only authorized to access guest access and so forth. And if you want to retrieve data, whether it should reside on the consumer device, or thank you so much, you should access it only from the cloud where it's safely kept. So there are a number of evolutions. The latest one is context-aware security. And then I've just summarized a number of these points that touch base on it. I'm also very proud that Cisco just recently announced the annual security report, in which it's a full-fledged document that is available on cisco.com. So if you just Google cisco.com security annual report, you would find it. The latest one is available for 2013. And we mentioned a number of great solutions such as SecureX, context security, and bring your own device.
That is absolutely brilliant. Now, as well, I mean, you guys did find out from previous researchers in, let's say, last years, that usually employees are more comfortable bringing their own device, having a bit of, let's say, flexibility within the work field, not being so tied within the whole workplace, bringing specific devices or having their devices to be registered on the network itself. And are such research is still going on in Cisco?
Absolutely. Now, whether CIOs love it or hate it, what we have found in our recent studies that 75%, even in organizations that do not allow consumer devices, 75% of the devices that do actually gain some sort of access to the network, even if it's basic internet connectivity, are consumer devices, and 75% of them are completely not managed. In other words, the IT manager or the operations manager will have no idea what type of OSs are running within his environment, what type of access is going on. And that is definitely detailed within the annual security report. So studies do confirm that whether you love it or hate it, you better get on implementing a solution to address it. Even if you're a defense customer that doesn't want absolutely to allow consumer devices within a high secure network, there are solutions from Cisco and their partners to make sure that you can have the ability to knock them off the network.
And it's interesting that you guys got complete solutions, and you could do studies in simple businesses to try to figure out what they need, what capabilities, and how can they cut the cost down, and eventually what can they do to improve their productivity of their work.
Definitely. I mean, mobility brings productivity. And not only that we have solutions for enterprises, I want to announce at this point, we've done a major acquisition back in January, which is called Meraki. It's two professors from MIT that started up a cloud company, a cloud networking company, in which today we can have an affordable state-of-the-art solution to SMBs once again to deploy infrastructure as a service, in which they worry about managing their business, and we abstract the operations level and the management layer, and we manage it from research and development areas such as MIT, because this is where the company was founded, and we're very proud of this acquisition.
That's brilliant. Now let's finally talk about big data and what does big data mean for Cisco.
So big data, if you talk to IDC, Gartner, whomever it is, they will give you different figures of how big is big data. But let's say it's the latest IDC report says it's about 7.9 zettabyte of data. And just to give your viewers a perspective on how big is that, if you take a real and you say that the thickness of the real is 1 byte, if you had to stack those reals anywhere from the sun to Pluto, and you do it 18,000 times, this is how big is big data. Wow. And CIOs and CEOs, what do I do with that information? How do I manage it? How do I analyze it? And today, Cisco, in partnership with a number of business analytics providers, we have done things like in-memory computing, in which today we can crunch in billions and billions of transactions within milliseconds, not within weeks.
That's absolutely brilliant. And I mean, we talked about such a concept. I mean, and this concept has been adopted from other companies as well around the world. And it's absolutely amazing. Now, still to come, more episodes, inshallah, and we wish that you give us that promise that you'll be again with us, inshallah.
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
Mr. Abdullah Alswaha, who is the Director of Operations at Cisco Saudi Arabia, thank you very much. It's been an honor.
Thank you.
When it comes to us, dear viewers, now within the past week, it's been absolutely busy in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with some of the conferences and things that have been going on. Yet there are much more to come. There are, let's say, a lot of movement into innovation in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So we'll be giving you, or staying in tune with that, with you, inshallah. When it comes to us at the end of the episode, many thanks from everybody here at the end of every episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.